Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All Educational Videos and Tutorials. Today I will try to show you how and when you can use Scratch block which is named key pressed. This Scratch block is very useful and you will probably use it often in intermediate to advanced games because with this Scratch block you can use more than one key on your keyboard. So, in short, when you want to press more than one key on your keyboard to make some kind of action in the game, with this you can do it. So far we couldn't do it. Why? Because if you remember, so far we have learned how to use when some key is pressed like this, space key. So, okay, I want to have some kind of action like when space key is pressed, shoot the gun, but I want to have another option which makes my player throws the bombs away or grenades or whatever, and I want to do that when the space key is pressed, but also I want to press the, I don't know, 0 or 1, it doesn't matter. So I want two key pressed at the same time. So again, imagine this, your game designer says to you, I want player to shoot when the player press the space key. Okay, we can do that with this, but I want the player to throw grenades when the player presses the space and 0 at the same time, or some other 0 and 1, it doesn't matter, 0 and 1. Okay, for some reason, space maybe, it doesn't matter. The problem here is that I cannot connect those two. I cannot attach those two. Why? Because those blocks don't have this top open. So when I have this top block open like this, I can put it above or below and I can play with it, but on those blocks when key pressed, I cannot put it on top of it, only below it. So we cannot combine those. They are not supposed to be used that way. Okay, so that was the problem so far, but with this new block, key space or whatever other key pressed, you can check that condition and see if it's fulfilled. It's one of the sensing blocks, so it's a blue one, but not the motion blue one blocks the but lighter blue between control and operators, and find it somewhere in the middle, key space pressed, and I will use it to make what? I will use it to make some kind of more complex inventory collection. And in our game so far, if you remember our tutorial on lists, we had cat collecting items, fruits on the floor just by touching them. So when there is collision between cat and some fruit, cat collects it, and that was good so far. But imagine we want to make more complex game now. Our game designer says something like, okay, that was all cool now, but now I want to have something like, for example, something like this Fortnite pickup mechanics or something like that. And you say, okay, explain that to me, I don't understand. Say what do you want so I can code it. Say what do you want me to code. And he goes something like this. Okay, when the player touches the item on the floor, he has to press the E button, the E keyboard key, so that will be another condition to add. So far it was enough just to touch it and you will collect the item, but now I want the player to touch and press the E key on keyboard. So we have two conditions. Again, say it just in your own words, and again it won't look this fancy because we would not have this hover effect with this pickup icon, but it will work more or less the same. Okay, so we have the collision working so far. I have clicked on Apple 1, but the same code is more or less on the Apple 2, 3, 4, bananas and orange. And I can say, I can first check the code. Okay, when I will detach it to go one by one. When the game starts, show, okay, show the item, and forever check this. Check what? If the apple is touching the cat and the length of inventory, that was the limit of the inventory. So far we have limited it to 4 items. Okay, then hide and then add apple to inventory. Okay, so one more thing to add here is to add key space pressed. I will try it first with to detach this length of inventory just to see if it will work, and then later I can bring this back. Okay, so again, just say it in plain English or whatever language you use. I want to make my game like this. When the cat touches the apple, and that is this condition first, apple touching the cat, is that true? Okay, if that is true, and also when my key with letter E, because we want to make Fortnite in Scratch, is pressed, then and only then add apple to inventory. Again, if we have used only this one condition, which is now false because cat is not touching the apple, that would be only one condition to check. But here, because we are using the AND block, and AND block has two spaces, two conditions by default, both of those have to be true. This is very, very important. So this one first has to be true, and this one second has to be true. If only this one is true and second it isn't, this will not work. If second is not true and the first is, again, this is not going to work. This AND block will work only if those two, both of them, are true. So we have to touch the cat and press the E button, and that is exactly what we want to have in our game to make something like Fortnite. Again, something like Fortnite, not only because we don't have graphic cards cool like this and complex, but also because I think in Fortnite you have to hold E for a couple of seconds, so it's like some kind of circle bar which fills itself, and then you collect it. So it's like simple version of Fortnite pickup feature mechanics. Okay, so I have added this code only to first apple. So if I touch the first apple now, what would happen? If I touch the banana, I haven't changed the code there, what would happen? I would collect it. Same with orange, same with this apple. But this apple, the first one, because I have changed the code, should work like this. If I touch it, it will not collect it. Cool, so this worked. But it will collect it only and only if I press the E button now. Yeah, cool, so it works. And again, it's what we wanted. So let's test it again, this time first with apple 1. Okay, so okay, this is apple, I don't want to collect it. I am just going over it. Oh no, I want to collect it, I need some help. Let me press E, and there she goes. Simple as that, and also very, very powerful. What do you have to care about when you use this block? You have to first of all, this block is limited to keys on your keyboard, but not all of them, as much as I saw here. For example, I don't see my plus and minus signs, which I wanted to use to change the volume in my sound tutorials. I see the numbers from 0 to 9, cool, and letters from A to Z, cool, but I don't see some other keys. Okay, maybe I don't know how to find them or use them. We will check that in future. If you know that, maybe for sure write it down in comments, but again, sometimes you will need them, so be aware that you're limited to letters and numbers and not some special signs or keys like shift, control, alt, enter, backspace, I think, and we have space but we don't have shift. That could be a little bit limiting factor, but again, you have lots of letters and numbers to use, so for Scratch I think that's more than enough. Another thing to be aware of, that you want to use this block which is sensing blocks, in combination with operators block and or and not, mostly, which we have explained earlier. So you put this here and you can say, for example, now if I press the space and if I press the 1, so when you want to code 2 key pressed at the same time, so in our example we have used two conditions. One condition was pressing the key, another was collision, touching the cat. Apple touches the cat. First condition, collision. Second condition is the key pressed, but you can use two keys only as condition. Is the first key pressed, is the second key pressed, which is cool. So you can make, for example, you can use this to make some kind of combos, hit combos for some kind of fighting game, like, I don't know, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, and so on. So when you have to press couple of buttons, keys at the same time to achieve some kind of combo hit or finish them hit or something like that. And also you need to know how these operators block works. So this AND works if both of those are true. So left condition has to be true and the right condition has to be true for this to work, or block works if only one of those, so you don't have to is true, so you don't have to use to have both of those conditions true. It's enough only one of those to be true, so it's either left or right, and not gives negative, opposite of something. So if key 1 is pressed, is the player pressing the key 1, and this, if I put it here, this will check if the key 1 is not pressed. So imagine, read it like that, if the key 1 is not pressed. Really cool stuff, and again, you will use it a lot when you make more complex and intermediate games. See you in next video. Thanks for watching, and we are very close to finishing these Scratch Blocks tutorials.